Well, hey, greeters. It's Eric Clark. Hope you're doing well. Hope your week's going well. It's October, so football's in full swing. The holidays are fast approaching. School is really trudging along. And again, it's Greeter Week. If you remember last month, we kind of began this kind of structure where we took the four teams of guest services, spread them out, gave each of the four teams a specific week to focus on. And so we said that the first week going forward in every month would be Greeter Week. And so it's good to speak to you and communicate our heartbeat as your guest services staff via a video. Because honestly, we love you guys, and what we want to communicate, we want to do in person, but we know that's not feasible to do necessarily with all of our schedules. And what we want to communicate, honestly, would be an incredibly long, incredibly thick email. And so, love to virtually kind of sit across the table from each of you. And so, thank you for taking the time and investing these 15 minutes. I hope to get to know more and more and more of you greeters, and so along with all the rest of the guest services staff. So if I don't realize you're a greeter, it's not malicious. It's a big team, 200 plus, trying to get to know everybody. So and take the time to come up and introduce yourself if I don't realize you're a part of the greeting team. And one reminder as well is one of the reasons you're seeing my face on these videos and not Craig King is because several months back we began a transition from Craig's leadership with Teresa Reed's administrative help and transitioning from his leadership and bringing guest services underneath the ministries that I oversee, which is up until that point was just kind of our membership process and our equipping of our servant leaders, because we felt it was just strategic to put from the parking lots process all the way and connecting with the process of becoming a member and then becoming those who serve here at Stonegate Fellowship. So thank you guys so much in this transition for extending so much grace. I'm so excited to rub shoulders with you and to do ministry side by side as we really welcome people on our campus with a bodily demonstration of the good news of the gospel as we welcome people in with grace and mercy. And so again, we're continually hearing really news of all the warm welcome and all the helpful things that you guys are doing with our first time visitors, and some giving tours and some making incredible sacrifices to help people get acclimated, and really that feeds into our plumb line that we want to talk about this month. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So again, thank you so much for being a visible demonstration of the gospel, not just holding doors or welcoming people, but really having genuine interaction at the doors. And so as we kind of push forward in Greeter Week, we wanted to give you kind of some updates. And so we've got several. I'm going to try to move through them as fast as possible and as succinct as possible. Again, thank you so much for investing the time. If you're sitting down watching this video, I know that you may not know me, and I may not know you as good as we'd like, but no, I'm so grateful that you're taking the time to invest. The first thing that we want to cover again is accepting or declining in Planning Center. Accepting or declining in Planning Center, honestly, is an incredibly helpful thing for us on staff. Your staff team, when we're trying to coordinate the four teams of over 200 plus people, that's a huge task. It's really about the size of the average church in America. And so if you are using Planning Center and accepting and declining, we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so helpful for us. If you're not, we would ask you to honor us by accepting or denying your request. Because for us, it's very important that you do that for us, because then we can get an incredibly clear picture on what our teams will look like for that weekend, so that if we're sure or if we need to move people, we can make adjustments before Sunday morning. So if you don't know how to accept or decline, we absolutely want to help you learn how to use Planning Center. So if you have any questions on that, you can contact Sandy or myself going forward. One little note, we've, you know, if you don't accept or decline, we don't know whether or not you're serving, and so that kind of hinders kind of the scheduling process. And so we've tried to simplify that to a degree. Excuse me. Getting over a little bit of sickness. And so what we've done with scheduling, the little tweak that we've done in the scheduling, is that we've scheduled everybody for every week. And so you can go into Planning Center, you can block out dates so you won't receive those invitations. But again, accepting or denying those incredibly helps us as staff. And so we thank you ahead of time for your help in this. The second thing we want to cover is really checking into our database and getting our name tags. It is incredibly helpful for us. And so when you show up, when you arrive on campus, please check in. If you're a consistent checker-inner, we just want to say thank you again. It's really important for us as staff as we try to shepherd and love and understand where people are. Really checking in helps us to understand who's serving and who's not. So those who aren't checking in, we can follow up to see is there a problem, or do they just need some time off? Do they not understand how to check in? And so if that's you, we have our 2 check-in stations right to the left of the bookstore. We have 2 check-in stations right there. And if you have trouble, Sandy, myself, or some of our servant leaders versed in the check-in system should be either right around those check-in stations or in the green room and they can help you. We can help you get checked in because one of our goals as a staff team is really to increase the total percentage of the entire greeter team that serves weekly. And that's not for our benefit or our esteem. It's really for our guests and the people that attend, that come on our campus. The more greeters we have, the more robust the team we have, the more hopefully informed people and guides that we have that can help people get to where they need to get in a very simple and clear way. You guys are that as our greeters. You guys are incredibly important wayfinding help. Not only door holders, you literally demonstrate the good news of grace as you help people kind of get acclimated here. So thanks again beforehand for you guys checking in. The third thing we want is something that Sandy and I have implemented with this kind of transition, and it's specific to our ushers and greeters, and it's what we've called Connect Time. And Connect Time is something that we as your staff and some of your team leaders, we want you to be at Connect Time. Connect Time is the 15 minutes that we take in the green room before your shift to really gather together as a team. Honestly, we see this as incredibly important. There's valuable information that we talk about as a team. And more than anything, it's our attempt to want to communicate effectively and get to know you a little bit. We can't do that very well via email, both communicate as much as we need to in that moment. Again, it would be another huge long email. And also we want to get to know you a little bit before we all go out to our posts. And so the way that kind of works is for hopefully the 15 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't go that long because we have to start late. But what we want to do is we want to take a few minutes together to communicate really any need to knows that can help you as a greeter kind of know what's going on for the service. And by the way, you can always access that at www.stonegatefellowship.com/NTK, need to know. And so you can get some of those information there as well beforehand. But also, if anything changes or anything that we want to focus on for that morning as hey, this is our focus as a team, or maybe even give you some practical tools or maybe even some small equipping in that moment. Honestly, sometimes we want to put some of your team members forward to communicate what greeting means to them, or why it's important, or how they do their role really well. And then ultimately we want to pray together because we want to literally have a moment of together as a family, linking arms and crying out to God and depending upon Him to fill us with His power, fill us with His love as we welcome people onto our campus. And then we go out to our assigned doors. And so hopefully, if you haven't been to Connect Time, you would see the value in it and would come. The two Connect times that we have is if you serve at the 9 o'clock hour, we meet in the green room across from the prayer room, back behind the bookstore, at 8:15 to 8:30, and then we go to our doors at 8:30 and greet for that 30 minutes leading up to the service, and then 5 to 10, hopefully 10 minutes after the service starts to help anybody who comes late. And so Connect time is 8:15 to 8:30 for those who serve at 9. If you serve at the 10:30 hour or at the noon hour, what we've done is we've combined those together. And we meet from about 10 o'clock to 10:15. And what we do there is the same thing. And so we combine together those groups so that we don't have to have three given all the transitions as well. And so hopefully we'll see you at Connect time and get to know you a little bit and come together more and more as a team. The fourth thing that we want to talk to you about, which really is the last thing before we focus on our plumb line, is this. Our team, the greeting team, we want to kind of this idea of owning the foyer. I wrote it this way. We want there to be no questions that the foyer is ours. We want to be a group of people who are outward leaning, who are focused and aware of those who are coming in, the people that are already among us, so that when they walk into this environment in the foyer, it's warm, it's welcome, it's energizing, and it's informing. And ways that we can do that as a team members, that we can be proactive and reactive, which means we're outwardly focused. We're looking to meet needs, help people. We can be enthusiastic. We're making eye contact. We're smiling. We're speaking intentionally with great tone to people, and we're looking for maybe the first timer or the lost. And the ways that we can kind of see that are the people that are maybe walking at a slower pace. They're constantly looking around. Maybe they're repeatedly looking at their phone. Maybe they're arriving incredibly early or maybe even late. And sometimes it's okay to ask somebody rather than assume. Our first obligation for us is to the guest or to the confused, not to one another. And so one of the things that some of you have let us know is that sometimes we need to minimize talking to other greeters. I realize we want to get to know each other, and when there's nobody coming in the doors, that's great. We can talk to each other, but we need to be outwardly postured and always looking. And sometimes, I think us as staff sometimes are guilty of that. I'll be the first to embrace that. So sometimes as staff members, we kind of congregate together. And it's just something that, man, I'm asking God to help change in me. And hopefully as a team, we can become more and more outward facing. Because really, we want to own the foyer. We want that to be our place where there's energy and warm welcome and people are informed. And that kind of feeds into really the plumb line this month that we want to talk about. And the plumb line, we talked about these plumb lines that we are interjecting into guest services is really pithy kind of statements to remember kind of the why we do what we do, not just the what we do, but the why we do what we do. And last month we talked about that the gospel is offensive. Nothing else should be. That kind of leads into our plumb line this month, and it's we want to help make outsiders insiders. Again, we want to make outsiders insiders. And here's the truth. Every single weekend, there's going to be someone or a group of people that come onto our campus for the very first time, and they're going to feel like an outsider. And honestly, this is a really natural feeling, because if you remember those times when maybe you've attended a friend's family function and you're not family, maybe you're family, a friend that's almost family, but it's still awkward. You maybe you don't know where to go, where to sit, or you don't know the insider language. You don't know what words mean, and maybe you don't know the expectations that everybody who's an insider knows. And so ultimately what we want to do is we want to make every effort to make the outsider feel like family in a very appropriate, non-creepy, non-stalkerish way. And in the end, we can do that through various things, excuse me, from their perspective. We can try to figure out what they're focused on, why they're here, and then help them get to where they need to go, or help answer any questions. We can be, again, outwardly focused and picking up on their cues and providing clear and easy next steps. Because ultimately, here's the deal. Most people want to know where to park, where to drop off kids, where they go, where they need to go for service, and then they're going to make a determination if this is a place that they want to attend. And so we want to help them easily find a parking spot, clearly know where to drop off their kids. We want to lovingly and clearly point them to where they need to sit in the end, so that this place is a place where they deem it's worthwhile to come back to. Because in the end, it's our hopes that they meet Jesus and see how wonderful He is, and embrace the rescuing message of the gospel. And so, ultimately, this week, our plumb line, or this month, in October, is that we want to work with all of our might to make outsiders insiders. And so thank you for taking this 15 plus minute journey with me. I really, really am honored that you've sat at your screen and have invested in this. And I just pray that the Holy Spirit continues to galvanize us together as a team as we seek to love people well as they come on our campus. Again, you guys are great. Love you, greeters. Look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday.